All right, this is Todd Probasco, and again, welcome to Living the Dream. We're going to be talking to Mark Haines about golf today. Mark's got an incredible career and a background. I think everybody's going to find this interesting and worthwhile. I know I will, and we're going to dive into it. And I want to say, Mark, welcome to the podcast, and glad you were able to make it today.
Yeah, very excited. I just love to talk about golf. It's something that's very important to myself, my family, and my livelihood. So let's roll, baby.
I love it. I love it. Golf is the greatest thing ever invented, right? So,
Pretty close.
yeah, right. All right. So, everybody knows I'm a mortgage banker in Chicago. I'm an avid golfer. I have a passion for golf. I absolutely love golf. I live, sleep, and drink golf. And to be hooked up with you, Mark, I'm excited. So, we're going to talk today. Mark's got an incredible career. He's not just your typical guy out there playing golf. Like you just heard him say, it's his livelihood. So, Mark is the assistant coach for the DePaul golf team, which is exciting. We're going to talk about that. And he also is a co-owner over at Lincoln Oaks Golf Course. So, Mark, welcome to the show. Why don't you give our listeners a little background on your career, your background in golf, and then we'll dive into DePaul and Lincoln Oaks. How's that sound?
All right, I'll try to do the Cliff Note version.
Right, right.
So, was born and raised in Riverdale, Illinois. Uh, Ironically, my dad was a caddy at Ravensflow back during the Depression. He was born and raised in Harvey. He played college basketball, college golf at Thornton High School. Then 1 year of JUCO. Then he went and fought and marched across Germany for almost 3 years.
Wow.
Came back, revived his basketball and golf at Thornton Community College. Now it's called South Suburban. Had 1 year. He was the leading junior college scorer. He loved golf. And then he had an opportunity to go to the University of Richmond, where he played both golf and basketball. Walter Hagen's senior's dad was his golf coach his senior year there. I mean, that's a neat story, but that is where I believe our family began with the love of sports. As a child, we grew up caddying at Olympia Fields. And ironically, we weren't a super wealthy family. We had, 3 boys in a 2-bedroom bungalow, very just middle class kind of family. My dad worked downtown. My mom stayed home. She made doll clothes, G.I. Joe stuff. We all just survived. We all went to Queen of Apostles High School. And then my older brother, we graduated high school. Let's see, my older brother was 73. The middle, John was 75, and I was 1976 from Marist High School. So just to give you a perspective, we're all between 66 and 70 now. But my older brother started caddying. I started caddying when I was in 6th, 7th grade. My first round of golf was on the North Course at Olympia Fields, 5:16 tee time on a Monday. And from there, just played golf. We'd go to the Forest Reserve, hit golf balls, shag the balls out there at Kickapoo Woods. Then as we got a little bit older, we had the Forest Preserve card for Pipe a Piece, Burnham, and River Oaks.
Right.
$1 or $2 to go play golf. Parents drop us off. So it's really where the love of golf began with our family. My dad had a 5:16 tee time at Glen Woody every Sunday. And then he'd meet us at church at 10:30 at Queens, yada, yada. So the love of golf began there. We were more, we were a big basketball family. Ironically, like Marist High School did not have golf. We had a golf club.
Right.
But I played high school basketball at Marist. All my brothers, played baseball and little football and basketball. I pretty much just focused on basketball at the time. And then, You know what? Went to Marist, played on a really good team, had an opportunity to go to Illinois Institute of Technology on a basketball scholarship, but they had a golf team. And so really my first competitive golf, besides just gambling with the neighborhood kids and things like that, was at IIT as a freshman. Played on the golf team. We were pretty decent, had a pretty good career there. It was all conference, I think 2 to 4 years that I was there, won a couple tournaments, yada, yada. Basketball was still my passion, but I loved golf. The cool thing is my junior year, Ed Glancy, I had the SID at IIT, walks in and says, Haines, says, the golf coach, Coach Sobek, is taking his 2-year sabbatical. He goes, you're going to coach the golf team.
Oh, geez.
So as a junior, my junior and senior year, I was a player coach.
Player coach.
It was awesome. He'd hand me the envelopes.
Didn't Don Kessinger do that for the White Sox?
Lou Boudreau, player coach for the Cleveland Indians, World Series. I didn't quite do that, but
right.
So ironically, I drove the van. I had back then everything was cash. We drive out the Timber Trails and the Grange, and it was really cool. Our conference was Loyola, DePaul, Chicago State, Lewis, St. Francis, IIT, University of Chicago, I think. But we would play, I think, on like Tuesdays and Fridays, and it would be 4 teams would play match play. But it's sort of how I kept playing golf. And then I was a player coach, which was really sort of cool.
Yeah.
Really and then Coach Solbach came back, and then I hung on at IIT, and Mr. Glancy was kind enough to pay for my master's. And he's like, Mark, hey, you're a sports nut. I was, I played basketball, golf, ran cross country, and was on the bowling team. So wow. I played 4 sports.
Were you ever in class?
Pardon me?
Were you ever in class?
Yes. Because, the thing is that class for business, the Stewart School of Business, were normally at night. So like after my sophomore year, generally night classes. And it was really cool. This is 1978. They had like Motorola out in Naperville. We would be in the classroom and there would be a TV and there'd be another 30 people in Motorola getting their MBA. It was sort of interesting.
That's cool.
So at that point, got my master's and I stayed around and coached basketball, which I really thought I would be a college basketball coach at one point. Right. As my dad refereed basketball for 52 years. Wow. So basketball was a passion, just shooting in the back alley, always shooting hoops. The cool thing, you're talking about golf, we'd make our own little miniature golf course in between the gangways in Riverdale. So our houses were 30 feet apart. So you had 6 feet in between the house, and then it was always mud. And we just make like a little peewee golf course and practice putting. That's what you did as a kid back then.
Right. That's all you had to work with.
So yeah, once then, I just wasn't with basketball. You got a master's degree and it's like, you're not making a whole lot of money. But I had a landscaping business that was good as a kid. But then I got into real estate. That's a whole different story. And I sort of just stopped coaching. But I was always involved with sports. Got married in 1985, had 2 great kids, and then they got re-involved in sports. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if I was playing golf, my kids were going to play golf. So my daughter, who's now born in 1987, so you do the math, 37 years old. She played high school golf, had a great coach at Marian Catholic, just to speed things up. But their team came in second in state when she was a senior. And I observed Coach Gilly, how she handled the girls and her passion. And I learned from her. And I'm like, I think I could do this down the road. And then my daughter played college golf at Illinois Wesleyan. And push comes to shove, had a great 4-year career, 2-time Division III All-American. So they traveled, got to just see Coach Niephagen, who was just an awesome lady. Oh my God, this lady was just great to the team, great team camaraderie. I observed her and watched how she handled the team. And, they were, I think one year they came in 3rd or 4th. They were like 7th in the nation, maybe 11th, but it was a good program. And then my son, who is like, when my daughter was a senior in high school, my son was a freshman. Okay, so let's go to 2006. Okay, let's speed it up. Okay, so my kids were involved in sports. I was the president of our baseball league in Crete, where I grew up. I was a member at Lincolnshire Country Club, and that's where my kids fell in love with golf. I played golf. Another story about golf is I was the first house at Balmoral Woods, and I helped Don Mortel sell. I think there's 63 houses there. I sold probably 30 to 40 of the lots. So I was the first house there, lived on a golf course. When my kids were little, we'd go to the practice green. I'd go putt. My kids would throw me the ball back. I mean, it was just always part of our routine.
Love it.
So then, like 2006, got a call. I was in real estate and Lincolnshire Country Club, where I was a member at. I get a call from one of the board guys. Mark, we're trying to sell the course. I said, yeah, I'm trying to get the listing agreement. I'm trying to help them. And they wouldn't give it to me. They're like, yeah, we got somebody that's going to buy the course, blah, blah, blah. And then I get a call in February. I'm sitting in my real estate office, and Bill Reichert gives me a call, and he goes, Mark, we really need to sell Lincoln Oaks. So Lincolnshire had 2 golf courses. Lincolnshire, and then in 1986, they turned what they called the East Course, or the women's course. They turned that into a public course. And I was familiar with it because my kids spent all summer at Lincolnshire in the pool playing golf. They're playing golf at Lincoln Oaks. They're at the driving range every day, all their friends. It was a really awesome little community for my kids to grow up with, being a member at Lincolnshire.
Right.
So 2006, I get the call, and I'm like, I sort of knew what they were asking. And I call my brother up, John, who was an Evans Scholar,
nice,
University of Illinois, from Olympia Fields. I said, do you want to buy a golf course? He goes, let me call my roommate, Tom Kaufman, who was a Burbank guy, went to St. Lawrence. Great guy. He was an attorney at Query and Harrow. 5 minutes later, my brother says, yeah, Tom's in. Let's go for it. So push comes to shove. By July, we put all the details together. So myself, my brother John, and Tom, we bought Lincoln Oaks Golf Course.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what year was that again?
2006.
Okay.
July of 06. So,
you're
my
coming
daughter,
up on owning it for 20 years.
It'll be 18 years right now. And Lincoln Oaks in 2027 will be celebrating its 100-year anniversary.
That's awesome.
But that's a different story. But Lincolnshire had 4 golf courses at one time. Then the Roaring 20s. Then the Depression hit. They lost the course. Then they hobbled along with both courses. Yada yada. So Lincoln Oaks is a public golf course. Went in there and basically, didn't know how. I mean, I knew golf. I didn't know much about the golf industry, but times were booming. 06 was a real estate market boomed. Yeah. I had an office that I had a realty executive franchise that I managed with my wife, Kim. And, things were good. Bought the golf course sort of as a retirement. Yada, yada. And that moved along. 06 was good. 07 was good. Then, as if you're old enough to remember, 08, man, the bottom started falling out.
The crash hit.
The crash. I sold my real estate company as I went from 50 some agents down to 20 and yada yada. Still involved with real estate, but then focused more on the golf side. I had a great general manager that I inherited by the name of Boss Seymour, who just retired this year, but he's still hanging around, helping me out. So, he pretty much ran the show and I oversaw the operations. That's 06. My brother, is an accountant, and my wife does the day-to-day accounting. My brother is, sort of the last end accountant. I'm the salesman. I'm the marketing arm. I'm would say like the face of Lincoln Oaks.
Right.
I say that fondly, only because my job is to market. Lincoln Oaks is a golf course. So one of the things, my goal when we bought it in 06 was like build up the leagues, get the outings out there. The golf industry had changed, especially with the economy. My golf game got really good because there was nothing to do from like 2009 to 2012, 2013. But we survived, had some good partners and things moved. And then, my son, who was 3 years younger, also played college golf. He also played at Marion, went downstate his sophomore year and with the team, and then his senior year as an individual. And then, he wanted to play college golf. Ended up going to a school called Eckerd College in Florida.
Okay.
So 2010? Yeah, 2010, maybe 11. I don't know. He graduated high school. And then, so my daughter was like at Illinois Wesleyan. My son was, going to be a freshman. She was going to be a senior at Wesleyan. He ended up, we had a property in Florida that we shared with our in-laws. That's a long story, but my son was like, Dad, I just want to go to Florida and play golf. So we found a Division II school called Eckerd College. My son went there. It was a great experience for him to just get away from the Midwest. He had an okay career there. Got to play, enjoyed the sport. Like all kids, they all think they're better than what they are. And as a parent, you always think your kid is better than what they are.
Right.
But, sports just opens up so many opportunities for children, your children, our kids. And golf is the one sport that, I'm just gathering 65% of your CFOs, things like that, they play golf.
Right.
They hire people that play golf. It's the one sport where you self-manage yourself. You learn a lot of ups, a lot of downs. You learn, hard work. You learn good. You learn bad. You learn how to rebound, things like that. And that's why I really believe if you're a parent listening to this, doesn't have to be your kid's main sport, be it a boy or a girl, but it's a great sport because it teaches life lessons.
It does.
And I preach that when I see kids. Oh, my daughter's playing volleyball. Well, she's going to be 5'6". What is she going to do? Be a libero, a defensive? How about play some golf?
Right.
Or, she's playing softball. And I have nothing against softball. My daughter played high school softball all the way to her senior year. She was a very good softball player. But always have a backup plan. I don't care if you're playing tennis. I don't care if you're running cross country. Play a sport that nobody else really plays and good at it. Everyone plays basketball. Everyone plays baseball or softball or football or baseball. Play a different sport and get good at it.
Right. There's a lot of things that golf teaches people, how to self-manage, the honesty factor, and like you said, dealing with the ups and downs. You got to be able to rebound. So just to try to get us onto a little bit of a Q&A here,
Yes.
let's talk about Lincoln Oaks before we dive into DePaul. Lincoln
Right.
Oaks, 18-hole public golf course in Crete, Illinois, correct?
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about the golf course itself. Give us a
Well,
little background of the golf course.
Yeah, it's a Tom Bendelow design. So Bendelow, actually, his grandson came out. He wrote a book. Bendelow designed like 500 golf courses. Olympia
Okay.
Fields South, Naperville Country Club, Medina number 3.
Wow.
He is the original architect. He's
Wow.
the dude that put it together. He's the guy that walked out there and plucked in the flags and said, all right, sand trap here, green here, tee here. So,
Wow.
I'm trying to vision back in, 1919, 1920, 1930, whatever,
Right.
he worked for Spalding Corporation. That's another podcast. But so Lincoln Oaks is a Bendelow design along with Lincolnshire. It's not the longest course in the world, but back then the courses were 6, 6, and 6. 6 par 3s, 6 par 4s, 6 par 5s. And that was a pretty prevalent design. At this point, Lincoln Oaks is a par 71, 6 par 3s, 5 par 5s. They turned a par 5 into a par 4. And then do the math,
7 par
6,
4.
5, and 7 par 4s. So It's sort of a pretty cool design. It's laid out just like it was built in 1927. Nothing's changed. Yeah, we've added some tees, expanded some greens. I've taken out 22 sand traps that made no sense.
Okay.
Because the reality in public golf is I've never seen somebody come to a course and say, I'm playing your course because I love the sand trap. The reality is the average golfer doesn't practice out of a sand trap. They don't like sand. And, so I got rid of traps that made no sense.
Okay.
We have great maintenance. Our maintenance is done by Lincolnshire Country Club. So we have bent fairways. Our greens are 97 years old. They run like a good green. There's a lot of undulations. They're not the biggest greens in the world, but I tell people, you know what? Our greens are bigger than Pebble Beach. And they do, they do major tournaments at Pebble Beach. I always hear guys, oh, Mark, your greens are small. I said, yeah, well, that's how it was built.
Okay? Right. That's how golf was.
Modern courses today, they build these big, huge greens and you feel like you're playing great golf, but you got 40 and 50-foot putts.
Right. And so, for the public golfer in the Chicagoland area who might be listening, you offer a daily feed? You offer memberships? Do you have tournaments? What do you have going out of the golf?
A combination of everything. So, one of my things was like get the neighborhood involved. So I have a lot of my neighbors are members. We have several different types of membership programs. We tailor our membership to the type of golf you want to play. Okay. I'll leave it at that. We're a public golf course, a lot of seniors, a lot of travel leagues. I think if I add it up, I got 21 leagues right now. Monday, I've got 2 big men leagues. Tuesdays, I got 2 to 3 leagues. Wednesday, I got 5 leagues after 3:00, going off the front and the back. Thursdays, which is really great. We have about 100 women in a women's league, and about 85 to 90 show up every Thursday at 12:30. They start teeing off.
I love it.
And it's awesome. Bob Seymour, my general manager, has managed that league for years. And, we do wine and dine. We have Sadie Hawkins night. We have music. We have food. So the ladies pay like $80, and then that pays for skin money, entertainment. It's just fun. And then the other side, I have a league I run on Thursdays, and then we have AT&T has a league. And then Friday, we don't have any leagues, but we did 84 outings last year.
Okay.
A lot of golf courses are getting away from outings because they think, that's just not their business plan. But I'm a big outing guy. If the people that know me is, I do not like weather people. I do not like meteorologists. When golfers look at the radar, not the radar, they look at the forecast. I'll give you, for example, like today, it's beautiful out, 75 degrees. As of yesterday, they were predicting 50% chance of rain. But what people don't understand is the rain was predicted in the morning, and it was less than 15% all day. So then they take that average and say, wow, it's going to be 0.01 inches of rain somewhere in the Chicago area.
Which is huge.
It drives me nuts. Okay.
Right.
But that's another podcast. Okay.
You might have to be your own weatherman for your
Well,
golf
I
day.
do. I am now posting every couple days the weather and
Love
stating like, hey, it's going to rain at night and it's supposed to rain in the morning, but during the day. Or I'll say, hey, you know what? It looks like it might rain midday, but you know what? It could change.
Yeah.
But so like golf wise, we have a lot of leagues in the afternoon, a lot of travel groups come in during the day, but every Saturday I have an outing after 1:00. So I'm just being blunt. You want to play Lincoln Oaks after 1:00 on a Saturday, you're not going to be able to play. I have an outing. But what people don't understand is outings create revenue for charities, sports clubs, memorials in honor of certain people. I mean, we've had outings that have been coming to my course since 2006. The same people come on the same Saturday every year in honor of Joe, who died from cancer, and the money goes here or whatever. I mean, we're raising money for hockey clubs, baseball clubs. We're raising money for Lions clubs, VFWs, Wolf Lake Rod and Reel clubs. So what people understand is golf outings are a main revenue source for a lot of our nonprofits.
Yes, it helps the community.
Right.
Absolutely.
Just not our community.
I will tell you this. I have not been out there, but after meeting you today and hearing about it, I'm definitely going to take the ride out there.
Well, we'll take care of you.
I'd like a little tour of the golf course too. So
no problem. Like being a good owner, I'll give you a foursome, bring out some of your buddies, enjoy Lincoln Oaks, and hopefully it'll be a place. I don't ask people to come out there every day, but you know what? Come out 3-4 times a year. Enjoy what we have.
Right.
It's a fun golf course. You don't lose golf balls. We don't have fake fescue. We have 2 ponds. If you're losing a ball, you're hitting in somebody's yard, you can usually find it. Our golf course intertwines through a neighborhood, which is really cool. It's pretty straightforward. We got a gazillion oak trees, and I'm going to run a contest here. As you all know, I coach college golf. I'm going to have a contest. I'm going to count how many trees I have at Lincoln Oaks.
And then do it like how many jelly beans in the jar?
Well, yeah, but I'm curious, so I got to find two.
It's probably more
my cart guys, or I'll count them.
Right.
And I'm going to have a little contest, and the closest 5 people will get around.
Forget
I'm curious to see how many trees.
Forget the jelly beans and the Easter Bunny. Let's count trees at a golf course.
Right. Well, I mean, we just had stumps removed. 82 stumps were removed because I hadn't had stumps removed in 10 years.
Right.
We had that Elms disease. We have a lot of oak trees, whatever, but trees die.
Right.
But so yes, Lincoln Oaks is just a very friendly kind of golf course. You can motor around typically during the week, 4.5 hours. The thing that frustrates me is senior golfers, they're not the fastest golfers in the world, but they're not the slowest. Wait till you turn 60 and 70 years old. Right. You don't hit the ball as far. I hear these guys, the ground was slow. And I'd go, what time did you tee off? Well, I teed off at 9:15. What time did you get done? 12:30. I said, you played in 4 hours and 15 minutes. Well, I had to wait on a couple shots. Geez. I mean, that drives me nuts. Right. But that is part of we're not overly busy. We're still only at like 65% filling our tee times during the week. So there's still a lot of room there.
It sounds like you're doing a lot of things right that makes it friendly and fun for people to come and visit. So
yeah, but no, Lincoln Oaks is just sort of a very middle class fun. We get a lot of senior groups or just travel groups come out and play. After our leagues at night, I have a grass range. A lot of people are hitting golf balls. We have range membership. The neighbors come out. We have a nice little bar. We hold about 80 people in our clubhouse, tight. Our bar sits 22 people, bunch of TVs. If you're in a league on a Wednesday, you get the same bartender, the same guy at the desk, the same starter, the same ranger. We build friendships out there.
I love it. And just to kind of put a wrap around Lincoln Oaks Golf Course, located out on Richton Road in Crete. At the bottom of the video, I'm going to put all the contact information.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
The website and the phone number. And I went to the website. You can get quite a bit of information there for anybody listening. If you're in your car listening on Spotify, it's LincolnOaksGolfCourse.com. But I strongly suggest you take a look at it. Crete's not that far from Chicago or anywhere in the metro, easy to get to. And definitely go out and see Mr. Haines. But let's dive in a little bit about DePaul Golf. I know you mentioned to me before we started this that you're assistant golf coach out at DePaul. Tell us about DePaul Golf and what's going on there and your role with the golf team.
Well, I'm going to go backwards here a little bit. So Marty Sheen, who is, I call, a golfing legend of the South Suburbs.
Okay.
Marty played at, he's a Bloom High School Hall of Famer, and Bloom is a iconic high school from Chicago Heights. Then he played at the University of Illinois, where he was, I think, third in the Big Ten his senior year. Graduated from U of I, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, Marty played on the PGA Tour, played in a couple of U.S. Opens. He was my mentor.
Wow.
He coached my son 1 year at Chicago State because my son had a year of eligibility. And I got to meet him and got to know him a lot better then. So I'm just going to start my coaching career. As I talked about, I coached at IIT from, 79 and 80, 78, 79, and 80, or 79, 80, or whatever. Okay. And then when my kids got done with college, I'm like, I think I could coach college golf. Mm-hmm. So Governor State over in University Park, which was a 2-year, 3 and a 4-year school, not a junior college, but the other way.
Okay.
They went to a full 4-year institution and they were adding sports. So they added golf, men and women's, they had basketball, volleyball, yada, yada. And so I went and interviewed, and, they gave the job to a guy that had a few more credentials. But the beauty is first week into the season, he leaves. I inherited the program, brand new program. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know what I was doing. I had never coached college golf, and there's a lot to it. I was going to be an assistant, learn, and go from there. Well, I got the head job. And so I learned by committee. Coach Sheen at the time was at Loyola University, or maybe just leaving Chicago State. I can't remember, one or the other. But he was my mentor, helped me through the process. And then push comes to shove. I was at Governor State 2015 to 2019. We were what was called NAIA, put together a nice team. I knew a lot of golfers, didn't have a lot of big scholarship budget, but got kids that wanted to stay at home. It was affordable. I think we were ranked as low as 80 something. NAIA came in 4th my last year in the CCAC. Just had some great kids. Either playing at Moraine Valley or Marion Catholic or Oak Forest or some of the local, because not everybody wants to go away to school. So that worked out real well. And then the Chicago State job opened up. I was eyeing that, thinking, man, I could go D1. And so Chris Zorich at the time was the athletic director. A good friend of mine was the women's coach, who was a friend of my daughter, Angela Denning, who now is at UIC. But she was the girls coach at Chicago State, got my foot in the door, finally got an interview with Coach Zorich, got the job August of 2019. And when I got the job, there was one returning golfer. So within 3 weeks, I had to find a team. But I figured it out. I brought a guy called Kevin Bollington, great golfing family, came with me from Governor State. I had a guy that was a ROTC kind of Army guy from Blackhawk. Bohr came with me. I got a JUCO guy, Stig, came from Australia, a couple guys from Ren Lake. And all of a sudden, the team came together. Don't ask me how or why. But we got it going at Chicago State. And we came out of the gates okay, had a good year. And then, COVID hit. That was a different animal. And then after COVID, I was able to really step up my recruiting with the help of Marty and built a lot of connections. And then, when I took over the job at Chicago State, they were the second worst golf program in the country, Division I. We got ranked 260-ish. I mean, moved up about 50 spots.
All right.
Got us involved with what was called the Black College Coaches of America, some HBCUs. That's a different story. Well, let's go. So I was at Chicago State, and then new AD came in, had a different philosophy in life. So February 29th of last year, not February this year, but the year before, I was handed Mark, thank you, see you later. She brought in one of her own people, which is great. That's what new ADs came. Marty hired me to come to DePaul to help. They had always had grad assistants. I would be a raw assistant, help them with recruiting. I was familiar with DePaul, only just growing up in Chicago. I went to Ray Meyer's basketball camp. Everyone's a DePaul fan in the area, and we got to get that basketball team to get winning. And I tell you what, the coach Holzman is doing an awesome job.
Yes,
I will just put it on the line. They had the best basketball improvement last year. I see their practices. He's an awesome guy. But if basketball wins, then your program wins. So yes, Marty hired me as assistant. I started here September 9th, and just my job was to recruit. He was losing 5 seniors, and I just spent a lot of time with my sources, bringing in 6 new players for next year. Kid from Germany, kid from Scotland, got a young man from Canada. We got a local grad student.
How do you recruit international kids? Are you just using technology like what we're doing right now, or?
Yeah, but there's what they call agents out there. And when I was at Chicago State, I utilized a couple people. A lot of people internationally. I like recruiting Europe because they speak English good and they understand our culture. They're hardworking. So you sort of look at. They have academies. For example, I got a young man coming out of Germany who goes to a golf academy in Spain. And so you look at the kids from that academy, where they went, what other Division I schools did they go to? How did he compare to the European kids he's playing with? So Europe has a tour, our not a college, but this in high school, they play different tournaments, and then I can see for example, I got a guy by the name of Life Breedy coming from Germany, but I saw the guys that he was competing with, going to schools that were ranked ahead of DePaul. So I said, well, if he's as good as these guys and they're going to a 100 ranked program, he could play.
Right.
I got lucky at Chicago State. I recruited a Spanish guy. I call him El Toro, one of my favorite guys of all time. But, I got him as a transfer, went to a little school in Georgia, came up to Chicago State, helped me, improve our program there. I had a kid from England, Kieran Hogarth, who said, hey, I'll go to Chicago State. Then after 2 years, he went on the transfer portal and he moved to Indiana. So, I mean, I believe I have the formula to recruit, and we have a great class coming in, and I am so excited. We just finished up our Big East yesterday. Actually got back to campus about 2:00 last night, but we came in 6 out of 10 schools.
Good job.
We beat Georgetown, we beat Butler, we beat Seton Hall, and we beat St. John. All good programs. The thing about the Big East is, Marquette is the lowest ranked. We just played in a tournament at Purdue, and they beat 4 Big Ten schools, which is pretty good. And ironically, at Purdue, we tied for the second lowest round against some of these Big Ten schools. I mean, we only lost to U of I by 3 shots in our final round. We tied Marquette. We beat Indiana. We beat Purdue. We beat Michigan. It was only a round, but you got to understand in golf that proves a point. Like, hey, we can go out there and compete with these guys. Okay. And so
you must be doing something right?
Well, we're working hard. Coach Sheen has done a great job here, and he's retiring. So we're not sure what's going to happen. Whatever. I just hopefully I remain with the program as an assistant coach or whatever DePaul wants. I just love coaching, especially bringing in, 6 new players, or 5 of them were mine. Marty and I co-recruited a couple kids. We have 2 freshmen returning that are very, very good. A young man, Dom, I call him Dr. Dom. He's from Grays Lake. Great. He was our lowest ranked player. And then we have the 7A champion from Georgia came in this year and did a fine job, Rohan. And like I said, our 2 freshmen will be our nest egg. And then we got a guy, Billy Neisner. That's another great story, but his grandfather, Stan Makita. And he was a junior this year, and was playing our, number 4 or 5 guy. So we have a good nucleus coming back. And then, like I said, I got 2 transfer kids, kid from Clemson coming, kid from Eastern Michigan's already signed. Got Sam Mortel, who is coming from Miami of Ohio as a grad student. He lives in Lincoln Park. His dad was the owner of Balmoral Woods, and Sam's a good player. It's just he got caught in where a new coach came in, blah blah blah, and then we got 3 new freshmen coming in, a sophomore, and 2 grad students.
Awesome. So, what is the home golf course for DePaul Golf?
Ridgemore Country Club. They are awesome.
Ridgemore. Where's that at again?
Harwood Heights, right on the border of Chicago and Harwood Heights.
Okay.
I'm terrible with directions. Sort of towards O'Hare.
Northwest.
Yeah. So we have a contract with them. We generally go out there around 2:30, 3:00 during the week. More in the fall than in the spring, and utilize their facilities. They've been really, really great to us. And then we play other courses in the area. We play Flossmoor. We go to Beverly on some Mondays. Bryn Mawr, where a couple of our guys caddy. We'll go out there. Glen Oak. Mr. Mulhern, who's a Marion Chicago Hike guy, will let us out there on some Mondays or maybe a late afternoon in October or September. When the golf season, because our golf season starts early September and ends November 1st. Then we're off, and then we start again in January with indoor practice. Our first tournament's generally in February. We'll play 2 in February, 2 in March, and then 3 or 4 in April in conference.
Nice. Where do you do your indoor practice at?
Here on campus. Actually pretty cool is TaylorMade. Everyone's familiar with TaylorMade. Well, a former DePaul golfer from the 90s is the number 2 guy at TaylorMade. and he is putting together some pretty good funds, and we're building a new golf room with 2 simulators and a putting green, which will be completed here prior to next season. Right now we have 1 indoor sim that the kids practice on. We have a putting lab, and then we also built up a relationship with 5 Iron Golf, which is down the street from us. If you're not familiar with 5 Iron Golf, it's indoor. They got 10, 11 simulators, in the off season or even during the season. It's a great place to work on your game. You can play different golf courses, and simulator golf is one of the fastest growing sports.
Yeah.
It's a big boy video game. That's what I call it.
Exactly. And
But
you're
5 Iron was really good to us. We could bring all our guys, 8 guys. We get 2 hitting bays, work on our iron play, work on our numbers, work on our swing speed. How far do I hit a 7 iron? How far do I hit a 5 iron? Work on my 80 yards wedge shot. It was a great help this off season because no offense, our weather this spring hasn't been the prettiest.
No.
A year ago, we had 14 play dates in February. This year, I think we had 3. So
exactly.
We just don't know about the weather in Chicago. So yes, that's our indoor work. But Ridgemore has been really good to us. We go to Harborside and use their grass range, weather permitting, mostly in the fall. We've been there a couple times this spring. They've been good to us. I mean, we pay, but it's just Harborside's a great place to practice. So yeah, that's pretty much what we do.
Love it. Okay, my God, I think we could go on for hours, and I think
I could talk about golf all day.
Right, I know. I think we're gonna have to do this again in the near future. But just to kind of wrap it up, you and your family spent your whole life around golf. I think that's amazing. You're the owner out at Lincoln Oaks. I suggest I'm going to go out there. I think everybody should go check out the golf course, meet you, and see the facility. And I wish you the best of luck, however it plays out at DePaul with the program. It would be a shame if they didn't keep you, but if not, I have a feeling you would land on your feet somewhere else based on your experience.
Yeah, I have a couple offers, but I really would like to stay in the D1 genre. And as you know, if you own a business, let's say, you brought in 3 loan officers underneath you, and you want to see them grow, you want to see them mature. That's what I love. I mean, I love to recruit.
Yeah, you've got them all the way onto the program. Now you want to watch them compete and watch them grow. So
yeah, well, we moved up 50 spots in the rankings this year, so we're pretty
congratulations.
Excited.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and then we just finished the season off. And the beauty is like DePaul, we have trimesters, so we go to school until early June. So we will be able to continue to practice for 8 to 10 hours a week, and the kids will still work on their game. A lot of our guys will be, doing some U.S. Open qualifiers, Illinois Open qualifiers. So you got to understand, these D1 golfers, they just love the game of golf. And I mean, my last thing I'll say at DePaul is our kids are generally what you call student athletes, because the academics aren't easy.
No.
And these kids, they're doing homework, they're working on their golf game. They're just fabulous young men, and these are going to be the future leaders of our country. These are the guys that are going to be the CFOs. These are going to be the wealth management guys or whatever in our world. If you're out there, if you're hiring people, if they got a golf background, you're going to get somebody that gets it.
Right. They got a brain on their shoulders and in their head, and they had to learn a lot of things to be able to compete at golf and put in a lot of hard work. So,
yes, sir.
Like you said earlier in the conversation, golf creates a lot of good life lessons. So.
Yes.
All right. Without further ado, Mark Haines from Lincoln Oaks Golf Course and DePaul Golf, I want to say thank you for joining us. This is Todd Probasco from Lakeside Bank, and you've been listening to Living the Dream. And
all golf.
Great. All about golf. Have a great day. Thanks, Mark.
All right. Thank you very much.
We'll
be in touch, and we'll get that foursome out to you.
You got it. Have a good day.